Shri Mataji.
Shri Mataji.
Thank you very much, Derek Ferguson, who everyone lovingly calls Fergy, for joining us this afternoon in April from London. And basically to share your experiences of the advice that Shri Mataji gave to you as, one-to-one in person about the various treatments, because you kind of organize a lot of treatments here in the UK collective and elsewhere. So if you would please share with us what was the first treatment and what was it like, please? And also, if you could tell us about the lemon treatment, lemon chilies, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. So when I first in my first year, I first came to London, and I'd met Shri Mataji at Caxton Hall, and then I was told that she was going to be leaving because her husband's 4-year term was going to be up, and that was the second of the 4 years. So I was like, oh no, uh, I need to find out more about Sahaj. So they told me that there was uh, uh, there was an ashram. So I found out that I could move in. So I moved into the ashram, and Sahaja Yogis were coming back and forward from India and from seeing Shri Mataji. And so I decided what they were showing was interested. So I better dive into the deep end and learn myself, because it was like secondhand. So then what happened was I went to the public program, and Shri Mataji, every time somebody came up to her, they would, uh, if they had a problem, she would give them a different treatment. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I used to observe and watch what she gave, depending on what problem the person had. Um, I would just remember uh, what how that helped the person. And then Shrimati asked me to. She told me that she'd bought a new house, and can I come and work on the house for her? So I was like,
Where is
wow.
this? Sorry, remind us, where is this conversation? Which year,
Oh,
please?
okay. This was in 1981, and Shrimati had. Uh, we had a Sahaja who was good at getting housing co-ops. So we had a housing co-op and house, which was actually a hotel. And Shrimashi, this is Brahmin Gardens in Earl's Court. And Shrimashi moved in, and she uh, used to come upstairs, talk to us, and have like workshops in there. So one of the first original ones I remember was she explained to us how to work on the different chakras. So she started off with, from what I recall, Muladhara, where she gave us a yoga exercise where you sat on the floor and you brought your knees up and then rocked back and forward. And then she showed another one, and we all had to do it. Some were more capable than others. And if you watch the video, it's very hilarious.
We'll
Uh,
put it with the links.
and um, and then she showed one for the Swadhisthana, uh, where you press outwards. It's all there. So it was all like hands on. And one of the ones that I remember, which I use to this day, 80% of the people I work on, um, I discovered that in the West, we're very right-sided. So I discovered that there's an exercise Shamashi calls left to the right, where you take the energy from the moon channel and push down your sun channel. And a lot of people, just to get by day to day, they have to activate their uh, sun channel, and it can get overheated. And I discovered that some people, you can actually go too far into the right, so then you fall into the left. So actually, you're not You're not actually, some people think they're left-sided, but they're actually two right-sided. So it was a good training ground to find out what worked on what different things. And the other thing I remembered was that one morning, uh, the at one stage, Shamashi could not get to visit the house because there was no staircase. The builder had taken this, wouldn't put the staircase in for Shamashi to have a look around. So she used to do workshops in the house. And I remember waiting in the corridor. And as Shamashi was walking by, she was saying hi to everybody. And I noticed some people who said they weren't well, Shamashi asked them, "How are you? How are you?" And they said, "I'm fine, Shamashi." And I was going, why would they say that? So myself, when she asked me, "How are you?" I said, "Oh, I have a really bad pain in my right heart." And she said to me, "Oh, that's your father." She said, "He drinks a lot, doesn't he?" And I said, "Oh, yes, Shamashi." Uh, she said, "Oh, you can shubi him." And I said, "Oh, we've been told we're not allowed to shubi our parents." She said, "No, no, it's okay. They give you permission." So I remember going to the house that day and giving him a good shubi. So this pain I felt in my right heart, I assumed it was to do with working, but she explained no. And the first day I got my realization, I had the same experience. This was all in the same year in my left heart, where my mother was worrying a lot about me, and I had this pain. And so as soon as I went to explain to her, I'm fine, I'm just seeking, I found what I'm looking for, then this physical pain, which wasn't a bad heart, disappeared. So, uh, and also working in the house after Shamashi, we put a staircase in. Sahaja Yogi went, bought a staircase himself because the builder wouldn't purchase one. And Shamashi walked around the whole house, cleared everything out. And then I discovered that when I used to go to the house every morning. I remember I used to go to the flower shop, buy some flowers. And as I was walking towards Shamashi to present them, depending on what I was catching on, she would hold up different fingers. So those first few weeks, there was lots of catches. So after a while, less and less fingers until there was nothing. So then I thought, this is too good to be true. Let me double check. So I asked somebody, I said, "Oh, can you check, what my vibrations were like?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, it's cool." So I thought, the two go to work together. While in the house, we found out that Shrimati explained to us that negativity, some of them would not come in the house. So they would just wait outside for the person to come out. So this wasn't a treatment, but it was a sort of treatment. What she used to do sometimes with some people, she used to, when they were leaving, she used to change their appearance. So either they wear a hat or a scarf or something. It's like a disguise so that the negativity which was waiting outside for them wouldn't recognize them. So that was something quite different. So it was good for them to realize that just their appearance, because things wouldn't come into the house because they know they would be zapped. So that was quite interesting. While working there, I remember Shamashi was coming up the staircase and she said, "Oh, there's somebody with a bad narbi here." So I quickly put my hands out and I was checking my vibrations. And then she said, "Oh, Fergy, that other plasterer, he's affecting you. So we'll have to get rid of him." So so I was really surprised that down to that depth of like motherliness, she was looking after us in that way. So I just remembered she said to me, "You should say the mantra to Sri Ganesha, Sri Hanuman in the morning, so that you won't get any problems going forward with the work. So we used to say that mantra. And then I said to myself, oh, I'd read about him, this Hanuman, and I read that you can get close to the deities. So I thought, let me find out more about him. So I prayed to him, and I had a little miracle happen. So I thought to myself, what had actually happened is I tried all the different deities by saying their name, because Shri Mataji had said we should get to know them. So I went up, said all the mantras, but Hanuman himself, um, I felt a closeness with him. And because she'd asked me to say his name, um, I decided I would do some research on him. So in the meantime, the research I discovered is that he is very fast, and he's very wants to help. Like, and he's next to Rama all the time, and he's just waiting there to help. And anything I needed for work-wise, it would suddenly appear out of nowhere. I was never wanting with any material or anything. And then one day, one of the Sahaja Yogis had given me a special tool, which was very small, but it was like for his job. And that day, Shri Mataji decided to get a skip outside, which, for those who don't know, is a container where you chuck rubbish in. And she said, clear everything out. So everything was being thrown out of the house. And the Sahaja Yogi came along to me and he said, oh, Fergy, where is that tool I lent you? And I was like, oh God. So it was just a whirlwind. So I just praised the Hanuman and said, oh, I need to find this tool. So as everything was being chucked out, suddenly we had a little altar in one of the rooms. So I went to the room, which was on the corridor, and the tool was on the altar, just where the side where Hanuman would be, when you see the altars. And I was like, because nobody would put something like that, especially a tool on the altar. So I thought, oh, must be Hanuman's put that there. So as the Sahaja Yogi came along, I handed him the tool, and he was very happy. So the other thing what happened is that when I first came along, I used to ask lots of questions, and the Sahaja Yogi said to me, we don't know the answer to that. You have to see Shri Mataji. So I knew that you can't just go up to her and start asking questions. So while everything was being thrown out, I came across the manuscript for this book, which they have now published. It's called Book of the Adi Shakti. So all the chapters which had been written were there. So I decided, well,
Is that the same as creation?
all those chapters were in it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I decided to be cheeky and borrow it, because it was going to be, everything was being thrown out. I said to myself, it can't be thrown out, and there was nobody to give it to. So rather than leave it on the side and it disappear, I took it home to Chelsham Road that night, and I'm a speed reader. So I read the whole book, read the whole manuscript, and brought it back. And then the leader came at the time, and I handed it to him. So because I'd read all the scriptures before getting my realization, spent 10 months, everything, my understanding, everything came together. So then I never needed to ask any other questions. Everything was just clear cut. And then the other thing what Shri Mataji asked me to do is, she used to give me certain jobs. So one of the jobs she gave me was to plaster her bathroom ceiling. So I just
Where was
um,
this? Where?
this was in in Brompton Square,
Brompton Square.
81. Her bathroom ceiling in the bedroom, she had a bathroom in there, and the ceiling she wanted plastered. But then I brought all the equipment to plaster the ceiling, but then she said to the servant, uh, uh, a cook, she had a cook. She said, I want to watch you while you're doing the work. So I was in the beginning, I was a bit self-conscious. So I'm standing on the bath with covered the bath with a step ladder, and Shimashi got a chair, sat down outside. And most people don't know that if you're going to plaster a ceiling, it takes between 1 and 3 hours, depending on the plaster. So Shimashi sat on the chair. I mixed the plaster, and I'm plastering the ceiling. And I'm really trying to be ultra cautious because I don't want anything to like flick. Because when you're making it smooth, you have to throw water. So, but after a while, I just stayed in the center. When I finished the work, uh, Shrimati said to me, "Would you like some tea?" So I still had my working clothes on. I said, "Oh yes." So we sat round the table, dining table, and he brought some tea and some snacks. So Shrimati is explaining to me a few things, and she started explaining to me about drinking tea, how you should have 2 spoons. You shouldn't dip the wet spoon back into the sugar bowl. You know, we're having this conversation, and I'm like, this is like surreal. So then a week before, she'd said she'd given everybody presents. And I'd said, uh, but when it came for the present for myself, it run out. So so I don't know. I developed this like relationship. Like she used to talk to me like not like I was her son. So it was a slightly different relationship. So I just said, "Oh, Shimataji, you mentioned that because she said I'll give you the present some other time." So I just said, "Oh, Shimataji, remember you mentioned about the present?" And then she said to me, "Don't you feel it?" And I just completely understood what she said because she said to me, "Oh, Sri Krishna is pleased with you." I'd just done the work, and she said, "Sri Krishna is pleased with you." So I was thinking to myself, what do I do with that information? So I'd finished the work, I tidied up. So then I said to myself, Sri Krishna likes butter. So I ran down the shop, got some butter, and I said, right, I'm going to offer Sri Krishna some butter. So I got a knife, I took some butter and a spoon, sorry, and I took some butter and I, uh, I said the mantra to Sri Krishna, and I said to him, Sri Krishna, I don't know anything about anything. Uh, I'm going to offer you this. I'd like to offer you this butter um, because I've been told you're pleased with me. Please accept this butter as an offering from me. So I took the spoon, I put the butter on my tongue, and I let it slide down my throat. And then I felt all my Vishuddhi just open out wide. And I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And then I discovered that my sensitivity to do with things started to improve. So so I'll just jump back and forward. So this treatment, which is not a treatment, it's just something I tried. I've told people over the years, and some people have told me they've tried it and nothing's happened. One person told me that their father wasn't well, and they tried the treatment, it didn't work. They told the father, and he improved, where the Shudi improved. And the other thing I discovered was that, so it was something I invented, but it seems to work for certain people. The other thing I discovered with the sensitivity is that my I could feel all in real time, because we in those days we had several ashrams, so we used to move and visit the other ashrams around London. And I discovered if someone had been to see Shri Mataji and they'd just come back, when they were walking in the door, you could feel that they just uh, come from visiting Shri Mataji. So I used to say, "Oh, have you just been to Shri Mataji's house?" And they said, "Yes." How do you know that? So I could feel that. I could feel uh, the vibrations of London. I could feel the vibrations of England. I could feel my own vibrations. I could feel the vibrations of those around me. And also I could feel um, if somebody was racist as a separate vibration. I don't know how to explain it, but it was separate. So I'll just give you an example. Um, when the Queen, somebody went into her bedroom, Buckingham Palace, because she represented England, I could feel on the vibration something was happening in England. And then when I saw the news, then I knew what it was about. So if things were happening in the country, I could feel how they were. The other thing I could feel was if Shri Mataji was going to leave the country 2 weeks before, the vibration changed. So I would feel that. And 2 weeks before she was coming back, I can also feel that. So then we can get prepared. So that was what that. And the other thing was that I discovered by living in the ashrams and interacting with Shri Mataji that she could read your mind. Nobody like mentioned that, but if I was thinking about something, she would start talking about it. So then I would say to myself, wow, this is very it's not the right word, dangerous, but you have to try and be as thoughtless as possible, because but then when I went that year on the India tour, the next year, December for that year, there was a talk where Shri Mataji explained that everyone kept saying thinking is bad. And I kept thinking, well, it can't be. So then Shri Mataji explained that if you're thinking of somebody, she gave an example, you're going to buy somebody a present. So you think, oh, what type of scarf would they like to buy? What color would suit them? That type of thinking doesn't create any heat, doesn't create anything negative, because it's a positive like action. So when people talk about right side and all these type of things, if you've got good intentions, then it's not producing anything negative. So that was one of the things I sort of learned in the early days. And the other thing I learned in the early days was that one day I decided to stay late and plaster a ceiling until about 10 o'clock at night. Next day, I came in late, and Shri Mataji said to me, "Where were you?" And I said, "Oh, I was doing this ceiling for you, Shri Mataji." She said, "No, I never asked you to do that." So it was like she was trying to explain to me, don't overdo things
Yeah.
uh, like that, because it's your ego telling you that you want to please so much, so you want to get it done faster, this and all that. So I learned from early days not to overdo it, because I've worked on lots of projects with non-Sahaja Yogis and Sahaja Yogis, and they all want you to work like mad, and then it's quite
Tell
easy
us,
to
yes,
have an accident.
yes. Tell us about that. Where was it when you had been working really hard and you had some pain in the joints, and then Shri recommended a treatment?
Yes, yes. So Shamash, as a mother, noticed that I had a problem with my knees. Sorry, with my right knee, and I used to stub my toe, and I used to remember being at Chelsea Road, and I used to kick my toe, uh, and I used to go you know, and I was like, and these are on the pavement. I'm walking down the road, and I'm like, oh God. So then there was a Sahaja Yogi inside, so the house. So he said to me, I said, oh, I keep stubbing my toe. He said, oh, that's Narbi chakra. I said, oh, because at the time, I don't know if we had all the literature explaining everything in detail like we have now. So, and also on the feet, it swaps over. So, it's Swadhisthans are like the thumbs, but it swaps over. So he said to me, there's no such things as accidents. So then I discovered, I have to sort out my Narbi. And then when I saw Shri, she said to me, you need to get some uh, kerosene. In England, we call it paraffin. So in those days, you could only get it, well, what I knew of, from a machine in the garage in a big 5 liter container. So I got the container, filled out with paraffin, brought it to Shri Mataji. She vibrated it. And years and years later, people still ask me about that treatment. So what I did, I decided to, there was no instruction, so I made up my own. So I knew that if I just put paraffin on my knee, then everything's going to be stinking, and you're going to be smelling like petrol, everywhere. So I decided to um, wash it, um, get a like we call them marigolds, but a rub, the plastic gloves.
The gloves, yes.
Yeah, dip it in the paraffin, and then put it on the knee, and then wrap up the knee, and then sleep the whole night with the knee like that. And in that way, it wouldn't stink up and mess up the bed. And then in the morning, I would wash it off and then apply oil. I particularly use almond oil. Some people are allergic to it, so you can use, olive oil or coconut, whatever you're not allergic to. But that's what I
Does it
did.
need sort of proportion, half and half, or?
No, 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 no. The almond oil was after I washed off my knee.
Okay.
So I didn't mix the two. But since then, I've heard that some Sahaja Yogis in India, they mix the kerosene and mustard oil together. I've never done that.
Okay.
So that's a treatment that Shamashi gave me. And I remember going on the India tour, and one of the Sahaja Yogis asked me to sit somewhere, and I just couldn't sit like that. And then Shamashi asked me to get up and sit somewhere comfortable. And then he realized that that was just I just couldn't do it. So then after that, he was quite nice to me. But yeah, so that was one she showed me, that one. The other one you were asking about with the lemon, in Nightingale Lane the next year, there was a 32-bedroom nursing home, which we had as part of Sahaja Housing Co-op. And I remember bringing a box of lemons, or well, there was one there, and I remember presenting it to Shamashi in front of her, and then she put her feet on them to vibrate them. And then I remember somebody was there, and they needed immediate treatment. So she took the lemon, and where it joins with the stalk to the tree, she took her nail and just took that off. So if I'm doing it, I just cut it.
Could you raise it up
Yeah,
a bit?
sorry, yeah. Cut it
Yeah.
so it just exposes just the white bit.
Yes.
But I've
Okay.
seen some people would expose the citrus part, which is
Yes.
it's not.
It's not the way to do it then.
So
Okay.
if you don't have a knife, then you'll have to use your nail.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you could also use lime, I suppose.
Yes, yes, I've got a lime here.
Okay.
So I've discovered, for me personally, limes are stronger and they're smaller and more
Yes.
convenient. So
Yes.
lots of ladies like them because they're convenient to have, because some lemons can be quite huge.
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously you put it on the altar to be vibrated. And what I try to,
So recommend it like we do it. We put the lime or the lemon, whatever it is, or both,
yes,
on the altar overnight and pray to Mataji to vibrate it. And yeah, and the chilies,
yeah.
yes.
But I'd like to explain something,
Yes, please.
which is a bit of confusion. In the early days, we had people going, like I mentioned before, back and forward to India, and they would bring different treatments back. So then
Yes.
we had, as far as we know, we had a treatment called lemons and chilies, where you get a paper bag, you put the 7 lemons and 7 chilies in, or whatever you had, open it up at night, close it, and in the last day, then you get rid of it. They brought a treatment back from India, which they called as matka. So the
Mm.
difference was that they used clay pots, and over time it evolved where people used to put vibrated water, vibrated kumkum, salt, everything into this clay pot. So when it came to England, these clay pots were not available. So people used to get um, uh, plastic containers like the ice cream container,
Yes.
or old biscuit tin or something, and they would put water in it, the lemons and chilies and everything in it. So that as a substitute for the clay pot. And so one day I was somewhere and I like to hear people explaining the treatment. So there was one lady and she'd mixed the two treatments together. So she didn't use a paper bag, she used a plastic bag. And a lot of people don't know there is very fine holes in the plastic bags. So she'd put water in the plastic bag, lemons and chilies, kumkum, and then put it on her bed. And she was explaining to somebody how wonderful this treatment was. And I'm like, the whole bed is covered in kumkum, and you got to throw the mattress away afterwards because it's just saturated in. She doesn't realize that it will go through the bag. So she's mixing up the two treatments. You either have it with water in a proper container or without water in a bag. You
You
should.
know, in so many years, I never heard that you'd put kumkum in matka at all.
Some people like the notion of enhancing. uh, they don't feel something is strong enough, so they want to try and make it stronger by adding more and more things to it.
Could you tell us, please, what Shri Mataji would had advised? I know, I mean, there is nothing constant in Sahaj. Everything is evolving.
Oh,
Is there any memory where is there an incident or experience where Shri Mataji actually shared this?
all I would say is the good thing is to let everyone know Amruta started in the UK, and everyone around the world uses it. So at the moment, there are more and more talks coming on stream. So we're getting to find out more and more information, which we didn't know. But if you type in Matka, you
Yeah,
won't find many references. But
fantastic.
you'll find like 4 or 5. But if you type in lemons and chilies, there's loads. So I've done some research, and there's talks of Shamashi where she explains to somebody, bring a lime, bring a lemon, to some, and then she would vibrate it and give it them. I'm talking about a one-off, or she would say, bring me his lemons and chilies.
Seven limes, seven
Yeah,
chili.
and then she would vibrate that bag.
Yes.
So that's two different things. One, she's done, and also she would say, bring them for the ashram. They would get vibrated, and then they would use them as a treatment. But somebody one day in Brompton Square said, "Oh, Shamati, when I was using the lemon or the lime over the 7 days, it went rotten." Do you know what I mean? Some of them can go really like
Yes.
gone off same day, just fill
Yeah.
up with stuff. So yes, you can take that one out. Do you know what I mean? If it's gone bad. And but this person was saying, "I can you vibrate some lemons and chilies for me, Shamashi?" Because he was having nightmares and lots of dreams. So he said, "If you dream of me, is fine, uh, uh, but you don't have to dream." And but the lemons and chilies was to help him um, clear out something which he had gotten. So I don't know. You maybe have to find some videos where Shimachi is giving somebody a lemon or give it or vibrating lemons and chilies for people. But 2 weeks ago in the meeting, somebody had said they're doing the lemons and chilies treatment. So I asked them how you're doing it. They said we put it by the altar, then we leave it, and then we go up to bed. I said, no, you meant to take it with you. So it wasn't explained to them that leaving it on your altar may clear your house, but it's not going to be clearing you uh, too well because your bedroom upstairs and your altar is downstairs. So we even have to check with new people what they're doing with the various treatments to see if they're doing it uh, as well as possible. So that's
Yes.
just something I noticed recently.
Can you show us the chilies? How do you do the chilies? Do you
Well,
take the
no, you put the lemons and chilies in the bag. Some people have told
do you,
me that they take the end off. I don't take I've never taken the ends off. You just put them in the bag with the lemons and chilies or
yes.
limes. And but if there are occasions where Shamash, some Sahaja yogis in Russia or some place in Eastern Bloc, I'm not sure, said to Shamashi, where we are, we can't get any limes or lemons that easily. So there was a plum nearby. So she said, well, you can use that. So
Right.
you know that
How
was
would you
it.
use a plum? You can't, I mean, it's such a sort of, it's a delicate fruit, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying to you. So we can actually for the collective we can make a document
Yes.
showing alternatives because whatever happens, someone will say, well, I don't have that or I can't get that. This was at the time of Chernobyl when they had all that radiation. And they were saying to Shamashi, can you give us some advice that we don't get radioactive poisoning? And so she was giving them some solutions so that they wouldn't get, a problem with the radioactive um, contamination.
Do you remember any of the solutions?
I think I think one of the main things was, as well as the normal Sahaj treatments, was the three candle treatment.
Okay. Three candle for radiation. Wow.
But I do remember there is, even with three candle treatments, there's variations. So I you can have the candle towards your left thumb. Some people put the a candle by their left swadhisthana at the back, and then you have one on the altar, but
Yes.
which sounds like three candle treatment. But my understanding is the proper three candle treatment is actually four candles because you to make it stronger, you meant to get somebody else to work on your back agya with the candle. So in one of the talks, Shamashi explains that if you're in India, you can get a gadget made. So some people have made something where they
Yeah,
put
we
something
photos.
on the back where they can like adjust, wind it up and down because the candle goes down for their back agya. But that is a fixed thing. So the proper method is where somebody else comes behind you and works on your back agya, which is called Mahaganesha on the back, and clears out that center. If you put your hand on the back at the very in the middle, there's a little lump there. That
Mm.
is the Muladhara in the head. So all the chakras in the body are also in the head. So when we do the workshops, we get people to massage their head, sweaty stands, all thing. And recently, I've noticed some people have a problem with there's a chakra here, Vishuddhi. Shamashi calls it the Vrata chakra. And you can use your Vishuddhi finger to massage that there. Same with Agya finger. We have a video where Shamashi is explaining how to clear that. And also Caleb Williams has done a video where you get the fingers and you screw down the ego. We have a video of that we can post.
Yes, please. Sure.
And but in the workshops, I've discovered that a lot of people have a problem with the Hamsa chakra blocked. And that is what gives this discrimination. So if it's blocked, then your discrimination is less. So we take these two Vishuddhi fingers and go up and along the eyebrows. And if you go along the eyebrows and it's tender or painful, that means there's a problem, could be a problem with the sinuses. So when you massage it more, it just releases that. And there's a video of Shamashi gave us a lots of treatments in 82. It was a Ganesha Puja in Wellingborough, in Sahaja house, Maria.
Maria's house, yes.
And in there, Shamashi even said, it's not been done yet. This should be made into like a booklet. She explained every item in the puja. So for myself personally, I like playing the bells. I think you call them jangs. And she explained that when you have a bell in the puja, that makes the Rakshasas run away or stay away. Like in the olden days, Rama used to have his bow and arrow. And
Yeah, yeah,
whenever they come to disturb the Havan, he would
yeah.
he
There's such a there's such a fine line, isn't it? Because I'm from India, and in the temples, it's customary for the bells to be raised. As you enter, you ring the bell. When you leave, you ring the bell, and there's arti, the bell is rung. I mean, that is the ritual as such. But yeah, it's such a fine line between the significance of the bells, which we call ghanti or ghanta, and having that awareness of the purpose, what it is doing, isn't it?
yeah. So all the false gurus always keep something of the practice
Yes.
of because they know that people would like notice things. So there's
Yeah.
always one little thing they keep to keep you like making you to feel it's good.
Yeah.
I'll give you an explanation. One India tour I went on that next year, Shamashi said, don't take any prasad from the pujaris. She used to bring us to different temples.
Mhm.
So I remember uh, that instruction, and don't let anyone touch your Agya chakra. So I remember being in a temple and there was a hand came out of the dark heading towards my Agya chakra. So I hit it away, and the person behind me, the pujari put a bin put the
Welcome.
kumkum on the person's bindu, bindu
Yeah, chakra,
agya,
yeah,
and
Kumbin.
also they were trying to give prasad, and I was like, no, no, I'm fine. When we came out, this Sahaja who had the kumkum put on, she just collapsed flat on the ground. So this person had put something into that chakra. So I was quite aware. And if you notice, Ramashi wears the bindi. So the Indian ladies kept tradition up. And even in London, when I was working, there were some carpenters. They used to wear a bindi, uh, and they were men, and because it's part of and they would work all day, and that bindi would stay all day. So
Wow.
it wasn't just ladies who had a bindi on. So that helped. Now, some people, um, they would feel self-conscious to wear it to work. So what we did was we found out that you can use oil, get some vibrated oil and put there. and then that wouldn't show. Otherwise, your boss would be wondering, why are you wearing them? But
Exactly. Yeah.
some people are self-conscious of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I just go back to this first house at Brompton Square. As I mentioned, Shimati had said, I discovered that she could read your mind. So, but I had a, what do you call it? A feeling, oh, it would be really nice for Shimati to cook. And she was in the kitchen. I would just, and I was just walking by. And then she just called me over and she said, oh, go down to the shop. It was a shop called the Midnight Shop and go and buy some chicken. No, not chicken. Go and get some butter and some other ingredients. So I didn't think anything of it. So she took some chicken out and she cooked, and then she mixed the butter up with the rice at the end,
Wow.
and she made a whole meal. And then I realized, but then it was like lunchtime, so I discovered she was making it for all the workers. So when she went to pour, she took the rice uh, and she was going to pour it into something, into for serving, because she took it out of the pot. Some of the rice spilled onto the side, the kitchen worktop. So I rushed to pick it up to tidy it. She said no. She said, um, "This is for the Ganas. They're jealous of you." And I was like, oh my God, because she said they're jealous of you because you're being like cooked for. And I,
Yeah, well, the Adi Shakti cooking for you,
yes,
yogis, that is amazing. Yeah.
right. So then we called everybody. She actually said, call everybody for lunch. So because we used to just sometimes get food from the midnight shop, some samosas or something, but this was a proper full-on meal. And then I felt really embarrassed because we were all sitting around the dining table, and everyone's saying, "Oh, thank you very much, Mataji." And she's saying, "Oh, don't thank me, thank Fergie." And I was pulling my ears. But from that instant, I discovered even now, if I do any cooking, something always jumps away
Yeah.
from the plate or if I buy something. Even last week, I bought some oranges and some other things. Something will always jump out. So then I don't have it. It's
What
like
do
the
you do?
no, no. I offer it to the it's like the Ganas want it. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? So
So what do you do with it? Like, okay, in your heart you say, okay, it's for you.
it is for you, use in the sense that I never like think it's waste.
Yes.
Like, do you know what I mean? So I could be anywhere in the world and
Yeah.
I'm doing something, preparing or something will jump out. So then I think, oh, that's for the Ghana. So that's not like a treatment, but it's something some people would pick it up and like use it. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? But it's like you become a part of them.
Yes.
They seem to like
Yes.
joining in with you because normally they've been asleep for millions of years and they're
Yeah.
not interacting. And then suddenly you're talking to Shamashi, she's talking to you, they're aware, and then they want to help as much as possible. You know what I
Yes.
mean? With lots of things which you wouldn't even. I mentioned before this story where there was a man giving me trouble, and she actually asked me, well, what's happening? I said, oh, this man's trying to find some fault with my work. And she said, oh, this is someone from your previous life. And I was like, oh my God, you can't even.
Can you please tell us when and where this was and tell us a bit more about this because
Yeah,
this
yeah,
kind of reminds one of this story where the Shirdi Sai Baba told of a story of two brothers fighting in this in their then current lifetime, whereas Mm.
Oh, a second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the house, we had non-Sahaja Yogi builders, workers, and we also had the building inspector who would come and inspect the work to make sure it was done properly. So what happened is there was a wall that was on maybe the first floor, and it there was a particular material that had to be used, and I'd used it, but he wanted to check. But to check, you have to sort of smash the wall. So I was trying to explain to him, I've done it properly, why are you, and also I said, it's not downstairs in the basement where there's damp. So it must be fine. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, we managed to clear up the problem of that. So all the time there was dramas happening in the house. And as well as that, the non-yogis had their own tools, and the Sahaja Yogis used to borrow them, and they would be running around the house sort of looking for the tools. So everything was hilarious and fun at the same time. But one of the things I noticed is when the work had finished, majority of the work had finished, one of the workers decided he liked us so much he would stay on. So he was a carpenter, but when he used to come in to work, as soon as he entered the house, he would get a rash all around his body because he used to like drinking gin. So when he came in the house, the vibrations were so strong, the it would start clearing him out. So or he would start coming because the skin is an organ of the liver. So but he put up with that. So lots of things we discovered. So for example, if you take too many heavy things for your liver, if he stopped it, it would be fine. But obviously he was addicted to it. And the other thing, incident which happened, I remember, treatment wise, one of the Sahaja Yogis, I won't mention his name, he'd worked really hard and he'd collapsed into bed for a rest. And Shamashi called me and she said, can you call him? And I said, oh, Shamashi, he's just, he's finished. He's collapsed. She said, go to the kitchen, make him some basil tea and give it to him and then tell him to come and see me. So
Basil tea, sorry, basil tea, just basil leaves in hot water.
yes. So I did some research afterwards and I discovered that in India you call it tulsi tea.
Well, tulsi tea is tulsi chai, which is like a normal tea with tulsi leaves in it, with maybe ginger in it or not.
No, what I mean is the tulsi and the basil are part of the same
Basil,
family. So,
yes.
so, so this tea was given to him for exhaustion. So
So was it a normal cup of tea? I'm sorry.
yes, yeah, it was a normal cup of basil tea.
Black tea with milk and sugar and
No,
basil
no, no, not
leaves.
black
No,
tea. No, just
no.
the leaves of the basil leaves.
With hot water.
Yes. So
Thank you.
that was given to him and to revive him. But I knew he would be like a bear with a sore head. For me to wake him up, I had to say, "Oh no, this tea is from you from Shrimati, and when you're ready, she would like you to come and see her, but drink this tea." So, so that was good. So that was a treatment that I've used in the past. So that was for like exhaustion.
Exhaustion. Okay.
So
Could you tell us some treatments, where this is where people wear bracelets and things? Is
yes,
there anything you want to
yes,
share about what
yes,
you would have said?
yeah. So in those early days, when I used to go to the public programs, Shimataji used to say, um, ask, where is the person's Kundalini? So sometimes, even though the person had been worked on, their Kundalini had not come out the top of their head. And she used to um, observe why that was. One of the reasons was because some of the people used to, I don't know, in India, they wear thread round their waist, the Brahmins, I think. And some people used to wear a thread round their neck and sometimes a thread round their hand. So the neck and wrists we know of Vishuddhi chakra. So their Kundalini wasn't coming above the Vishuddhi. So what used to happen is Shamashi said, used to tell them, I can't help you anymore unless that thing comes off, this black thread, which had been given by a false guru. So I remember to make life easier, I used to bring a pair of scissors with me to the program. And then when they agreed that they didn't want it anymore, they'd rather have their realization, then I would just take out the scissors and cut the thread, and then we would throw it away. And then their Kundalini would just come up and they would be like, wow, the vibrations of, are flowing more. So I remembered that happening. So I was quite observant that every year we used to have a Raki ceremony where the Raki were put on by the ladies to the men. And it was only years later I discovered some people have a Raki which doesn't fall off because it's made of some sort of plastic material or something which stays on all the time. The normal one where Shamashi vibrates it on a long thread and we get just to it, that would wear out. But some people, if they were given the Raki by somebody, they felt obliged, especially if it's like an expensive one or some fancy, they would want to wear it a lot or keep it on. So years later, I discovered that was affecting people because they used to have it for sentimental reasons. So what I did is I used to say, oh, would you like to check the vibrations of that? And they used to say, what do you mean? I said, yeah, you can see that it's affecting you. So we used to, in our workshops, get them to take it off, whatever it was, whether it was a ring, a necklace, anything like that, as well as, bangles, anything like that, and see the vibrations. Some of the vibrations was like terrible, and then they could feel it. Rings, people used to wear rings, stuff like that. So they discovered themselves, but when they were wearing these things, they wouldn't feel it was bad. But when they took it off and then they checked it, they can feel it was bad. So what we used to say is, look, put it in a glass of water or a cup of water with some salt, put it on the altar for it to clear out. If it doesn't clear out, then don't wear it, because some people have like things from their, I don't know, grandparents, their parents, something they have, which some family heirloom, and they feel obliged to wear it because the people say, oh, where's that thing I gave you? But, your grandmother. And how I found out more significantly is I used to do workshops with the Sahaja Yogi every 2 weeks for, I don't know, a year. And one day, he used to make food. We used to sit around, play a video of Shri Mataji, have nice meditation. So one day, nobody turned up, just one Sahaja Yogini, and she was wearing a wedding ring, and which she wasn't wearing before. So I said, oh, that's an interesting ring. She said, oh, yes, it's my grandmother's. And I said, have you noticed it's affecting you? Because when we were working on her, it wasn't, that chakra was being blocked because, it's back agya. So as soon as she took it off and put it and checked it, she could feel it was burning and affecting her. So, then I paid more attention to what the Sajogis were doing. So fast forward years later, when we do the 1 day retreats, sometimes you get people who are wearing all sorts of various things. So if they're adventurous and we have time, we get them to, try it, see what they feel, and then they can decide that needs to go in water when they get back home. And so the latest thing which I've discovered is there's an actual company. I won't mention the name at the moment, but we can put it down at some stage, who sell a product that is affecting people. So we had a workshop around Sahaja Yogi's house.
Jewelry
Yeah,
product.
jewelry product. And this Sahaja Yogini had called like a sciatica problem on her left side, from the left, so from Swadhisthana down to her knee. All her left leg was numb. She'd been to the doctor, can't help her. So when we did the workshop, I noticed she had this piece of jewelry on, as well as some rakis. So we took it off and put it to a side, worked on her. When she was finished, we then said to her, look, you try it and see what you feel. It's a charm bracelet. And she tried it and she was like shocked of how bad it was. After she'd taken it off, this pain, which was down the left side of her leg, just disappeared. And she was shocked how effective it was. Luckily, or fortunately, there was a skip outside. I think she'd paid a lot of money for it. So she ran outside and just threw it away because she knew that no amount of clearing is going to sort it out. Yeah. Yeah, so that was something I've discovered over the years. And I remember somebody bringing, when we had the 1 day retreat at the farm, somebody brought a student to the retreat, and they were saying, oh, we just can't figure out what the problem is, this, that, we tried everything, nothing, and so when we checked the vibrations, this person had lots of rings on, and the rings and some Raki things. As soon as we took them off, I think they were about 14, 15. There was a college in Wales where they start from a young age, international college. So it just cleared out. And then the Sahaja Yogi who brought the young girl, I noticed he was also wearing something. And I said, how long have you had that on? And he had it on for months. So as soon as he took his off, then he became more sensitive. But while he was wearing it, he didn't notice that it was affecting him as well. So he couldn't feel how she was because he himself was, yeah. So that was one of the things which we try to bring up. So it's not like a treatment, but is a treatment, because if you stop wearing it, it'll be fine. So one of the things we're doing at the moment is every 2 weeks or so, 2 or 3 weeks, we have realization at different railway stations. And there was a Yuva who'd come from India, and he decided to join in. So while we were there, what we normally do is we work on each other so that the public can come and join, see what, there's some activity, and then, like that. So then what happened was this Yuva, he's training to be a lawyer. So I said to him, oh, would you like to be worked on? He said, oh, yes, uncle. So he sat down, we worked on him, and he had one of those bangles on, which the Sikh people wear. Five things. So I said to him, are you Sikh? He said, no. I said, why are you wearing that? He said, my uncle gave it to me to protect me while I'm in London. So I said, really? How is it meant to protect you? And he said, well, something's been done to it. So I said, well, I don't think that's going to be protecting you. And so then he had some other things. So I said, what you need to do is take them off, and we can get them checked for you. So he took them off, he checked them, and his vibrations just went down completely, and he was shocked how he these different things he was wearing was affecting him. So the bangle he kept. The other things, there was a skip outside. We were at Charing Cross Station. He ran out. He threw the Iraqi things away, and then his vibrations came back.
Mm.
So he was really glad because he was like, "Oh God, my vibrations are gone." Uh, and he said that um, when he was wearing these things, this thing his uncle had given him to protect him, he felt very like um, like he wanted to fight with people and he wanted to be confrontational, but he knew it wasn't his nature. But he didn't figure out, he's on the tube and someone bump into you. He wanted to like start fighting with them, and he was like, "Oh no, I can't. This is not me." Do you know what I mean? So when I explained to him the effect, he was like, "Oh my God, that's what's doing it." And it wasn't really protecting him. And I've had a case where I got invited to a meeting, and there was a Sahaja Yogi who also had one on. And I said, "Oh, have you noticed?" And he had lots of health issues. And I said, "Have you noticed it's affecting you?" And he said, "No." I said, "How long have you had it?" He said, "Oh, it was a present from my wife. I've had it on 25 years and I haven't taken it off." And I,
A bracelet or a ring.
no, no, one of those Sikh things.
Yes. Okay.
The
Correct.
bracelet, yeah.
Yes.
So I said, "Look, we can check the vibrations off." So he took it off. We put it on the table. We were in a public meeting, by the way, but nobody turned up. There were just three of us.
Yeah.
Uh, so we checked the vibrations and it was burning. And I said, "You need to put this in some salt water if you insist on wearing it. It's affecting your, and it's giving you lots of health issues, which he wouldn't have like thought about." So I'm just saying, there's two instances of this thing that if you're wearing something that's affecting you, then you need to know some Sahaj methods to help. And the other reason I know that is because we were going on a coach, National Express coach to Yugoslavia to play some bajans in a festival. And
When?
this was many years ago. I'll find the date.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
uh, there was a few of us going on this coach. But there was a Sajogini who'd gone to a market the day before, and I'd noticed she'd gone to this store and there was rings, and she'd bought rings. So she had a ring on every finger, silver. And I was like, "Wow." I said, "Oh, why are you wearing those rings?" She said, "Oh, I've been told that it'll help my vibrations." And I said, I don't, I don't know about that. I said, "Have you tried the vibrations of them?" She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "They're affecting you." So we were on a coach, so it's like 17-hour journey. So she took them off, and we had a table to ourselves. We put them on the table. She tried the vibrations, and she could feel that they were burning. So these rings that she was having to protect her would have made her more sick. So I've noticed. These little things. And the other thing I've noticed is in the early days, there was incense made by the false gurus,
Yes.
and that was affecting people. I remember somebody said to me, "Oh, Fergie, can you come around our house? The vibrations are terrible. We can't figure out what it is." So I walked around the whole house, couldn't find anything. I said, "Where's your meditation room?" So I went in the meditation room, and they lit some incense, and we went to meditate. And I started coughing. "Oh God, I can't breathe." And I said, "Where?" I said, have you not noticed that?" And they were like, "No, we can't feel nothing." And I'm like, I can't even breathe. So I took up the the incense. I said, where do you get this incense? And it was a particular brand. I looked it up this last week, and it's still being sold. This particular brand um, uh, is made by one of the false gurus. So
You
obviously,
could name it.
okay, it's called Spiritual Sky.
Oh, okay. Never heard of.
It's made by one of the gurus,
Hmm.
and so that one was but it was one which everyone was buying. It was the number one, you know. So as soon as we switched off the to put out the incense, the whole room, the house just transformed. So that was one. That was the one that I yes, that was one that I picked up on, and so that was that. Recently, I've been to one of the ashrams. They invited me over there, and they were burning some incense, and all my throat was swelling up, and my glands were swelling up. They didn't have the window open, and I just couldn't. And the room was packed. I couldn't. So I was like, oh God! And as soon as they, um, you know, whatever we were doing finished, I had to get up and leave the room. So later on, I said to the Sahaja, have you noticed that incense is not okay? He said, oh, that one doesn't affect me. Um, but there's another one. There's a couple. It was a couple. He said, this one affects me, and the other one affects my wife. I said, what you need to do is throw them both away, because it's if my glands and my I'm getting all swollen up. Do you know what I mean? And you're not feeling it, and also
Yes.
you have children there. Do you know what I mean? You're going to start getting health issues which you don't know you're getting. So um, I said, you minimum keep the window open. Do
Yes.
you know what I mean? Don't have close the door and window and think that you can breathe on all this incense, especially if you have to have it. Just be aware of that. So that was quite useful. Some people, I've been to people's houses and they're burning the incense, and as soon as my tonsils, my glands start swelling up, I've had my tonsils removed, swelling out. I just say, look, can you put it out, or don't burn so much of it, and everyone understands, so that's fine. But if you don't feel it, someone gave me a quote the other day. They said, you're like the canary in the coal mine. People will know that,
Yeah.
quote. So that's that. The other thing is, sometimes I have workshops here, and I discovered where I live that there's some things that people have that is also detrimental, which is hair care products. Shamashi's mentioned, and they're making a comeback now. There's one product which everyone used to have, Head and Shoulders, and she said it used to leave people with just their head and shoulders, i.e., make them bald, but you can't say that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
what I've noticed is there's certain Shmachi talked about this thing called hair dyes. So a lot of the punks used to dye their hair, and those times the products were unregulated. So that dye used to go in the brain and go in and affect the people in some subtle way, because it goes straight through the skin. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
They can give you blindness, it can give you all sorts of problems, and also hairsprays, you know, like that. And also, what we've been discovered, there's certain perfumes, which is sprays, which is effect, which the false gurus have been making, and that can
Is there
affect
any
people.
names you'd like to give? Because now the hair dyes and things they have advanced, isn't it? And
Yes,
uh,
I don't particularly know, because I don't wear these products. I don't
oops.
particularly, I don't,
Yeah.
but they can test the vibrations themselves. But if we find out which products are on the market, we can make a file of it.
Yeah.
Yes. The other thing we've discovered is lots of ladies wear lipstick and nail varnish, and that also it's been affecting people. And one lady, she came, she got worked on, and when she took off to stop wearing those things, she said, I've been wearing this since I'm 17 and I'm 70 now. And it just, she took it all off, stopped. She checked the vibrations. She had a whole like bag with everything in it. And she checked everything. And she was like, she uh, uh, threw everything away. And then she said that when she took the nail varnish off her nail on the foot, she felt something jump out, and just clear out of her. So now she doesn't wear anything unless she's checked it first. Before she would just buy something and just, wear it and stuff. So it's good for people to check the vibration of something before they put it on. Like some people, what they do, they put it to be vibrated, but some things, if it's negative, it doesn't get clear. So what to do? Some people feel that they have to, what do you call it? Use it because we've bought it.
Mm.
Uh,
Uh,
so that's that. I just want to just mention one other thing is, which is quite important. Um, one day somebody said to me, "Oh, we're doing the treatments, but we're not sure. Can you come round?" So there was a family. So I went round to their house. I said, "What treatments are you doing?" They said, "We're doing um, uh, um, treatment with camphor ghee treatment." So I said, "How do you do it?" So a lot of people know you can get those big tins of ghee.
yeah.
They'd use like half of that, and they said the treatment is not working. I said, "Oh, how do you do it?" They said, "We get that ghee. When I picked up the ghee and rotated the tin, I discovered, because they were vegetarian, it was vegetable ghee. So I said, this is not proper ghee. It said it was palm oil with a preservative. So I said, you're putting that up your nose. I said, no, this is not good. It's meant to be butter. And the other thing they had the camphor, which was the chemical one.
Mm.
So
Synthetic.
they were mixing the chemical camphor, which is poisonous, and the ghee, and then putting it up their nose. And they said that they were trying to persuade their father to have it, and he refused. He said, "I'm not having this." And so I explained, you can make your own ghee. You just get some butter. You can get organic butter
Unsalted butter.
and salted butter. Take the froth off, and then use that. So later on, they said that their father went to Germany and got his realization there. So he was more sensitive than them. He could tell.
Wow.
So it was good that they found out that the treatment. But over the years, I've discovered that some people don't know there's two types of camphor. There's the Bimshem Kapoor, which is the natural one from the tree, and at one time, India wouldn't allow a lot of it to be exported. So then negative people jumped in and made the chemical one. And if you buy it on the internet, they would even tell you it's the natural one. And if you don't know, you don't know. When I
Yeah.
went to India, I went to a chemist and I wanted some camphor. And they said, "What are you going to use it for? If you're going to use it for worship, or you're going to use it for cooking?" And they would sell me the right one. But some people don't know. So years ago, we had one person, I won't mention his name, but he found a factory in Italy and brought a whole box of it back to England. So he was letting everyone have some. And then people were using this chemical camphor, and some people were losing the sense of smell, up their nose. Because luckily, with the vibrations, no Sahaja Yogi died, but it's like if you look on the government website for America, camphor, they said it's poisonous if you ingest too much of it. So what I mean is some people use it in food, isn't it, in India? Right. So if you're not told there's two different types, so on Amruta, I've said to them, if the word camphor is mentioned, we should put the word bimshem before it, so people know that is the proper one.
Mm.
Because otherwise, when I was in India, sorry, when I was in Kabela, there was a Sahaja Yogi, and the whole room he'd made black because he was using the artificial one. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean? Because it's very sooty and sticks to everything. You can't wash it off. But the natural one is much better.
oh yeah. And the best thing is that we have the vibrations by Shri Mataji's blessings to check everything before
Yes.
we try it on, isn't it? So
Yeah, to try, but you need to know in the first place
yes.
that if you
Yeah.
order it from the internet, don't assume they're going to sell you the right one.
Even if it says so.
Yes, just
Yeah.
don't assume. And the reason I know is because sometimes you go up on there, and if people are unscrupulous and they know you want something, they'll sell it to you. You
Yeah.
need to know yourself. And I had someone stay around my house, and it came down to the kitchen, and they took the ghee camphor out of the fridge. And I said, "What are you going to do with that?" They said, we're going to put it up my nose." And I said, "Have you checked the vibration?" They said, "No." They said, "Well, it's from India." I said, "What difference does it make?"
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay." We took the lid off. It was one of those little dropper bottles, and we
Mm.
checked the vibrations, and it was burning. Less what is left for Shudi. I said, "This is not going to improve your hamsa chakra." I said, "How long have you had it?" They said, "A year." I said, "It's made of milk, right? After 2 weeks in the sun, any milk goes rancid. It goes off. But because it's got camphor in it, it doesn't smell. You can't tell it's gone off." So I said, "It's not going to be helping you." So they were shocked that this thing, because they got it from India, they thought, "Oh, it must be okay." So they were using the right ghee and the right
Right camp.
camphor and the
Yeah.
right camphor, which is different to the other person using the wrong ghee and the wrong camphor. But people should put a use by date on the container.
Yeah.
People think you can use it 6 months, a year later. No, you
No.
can use it, but it's gone off.
Yeah. The
So
key is as you mentioned, check the vibrations before you use.
yes, before you put it up your nose for a ghee treatment to
Yeah.
improve your hamsa chakra, you should check it. Otherwise, it's not going to make your hamsa any better. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. This is what I've discovered. So yogis are using it. So what I'm saying is some things are self-inflicted
Mm.
due to some misunderstanding. They've heard something, but no one's explained how to do it. So obviously, yes, we are going to make more videos of showing each treatment, how it's done, but I just add these little ones in because uh, when people come to any workshops we have, we say to them, "Tell us what treatment you're doing, and then we will try and help you." So, for example, recently, over the years, we've said when we give people a photograph from the public program, we say put it behind glass. Now, sometimes I go and I ask the people, "What have you done with that photograph you took from the meeting?" And they've put it in a plastic frame because it's cheaper. They don't know that it should be behind
I don't
glass.
know the difference.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So even simple, so we just assume everybody knows what to do, but it's not the case. Yes, it's in a frame, but it's behind plastic. So when we tell them put it behind a glass uh, in the frame, they understand it makes sense, and the vibrations are stronger.
Yes, that's the thing, isn't it? So thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing with us all these treatments that Shri Mataji has advised and with time that you share with all the seekers, old and new, which is nice. Thank you so much, Fergie, for taking the time out for sharing these beautiful treatments which keep us as a pure and humble instrument of Shri Mataji.
Uh, I would say we've got there's lots of treatment workshops and various wellness places. Everyone does them. Kanajahari. There's loads of places, but the little things I talk about is slightly different because if you're not doing the treatments right in the first place, then you're not going to be getting the full benefit of them. So it'd be
Yeah.
nice if we do have a seminar one day or some seminars that we could say to people, tell us how you do things
Yeah.
that going forward while we're all still here, um, we
Well,
we could,
that's the whole idea of
yes.
having these sessions.
Mm,
And it was a very valid suggestion you said to go on Amrita and see what Shri Mataji has said, as well
yes.
as checking the vibrations ourselves, because it is our own confidence, our own faith in the instrument that Shri Mataji has given us, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, because
And
some
as
people
a
say,
collective, not just individual.
yeah, because some people say, "Oh, the treatment is not working," and I say, "Well, what treatment are you doing?" And they say, and I'm like, "No, no, that's not, that's so
Yeah.
things need to be clarified, and they will be as we go forward, because
Yes.
we can't be everywhere with everybody. Do that
No,
much.
but yeah, but we can be somewhere with some people,
Yes,
so that's fine. And it's lovely to have you. And because this will be on Amrita, hopefully, this interview as well, so people can more and more people can watch it, not just in England, but elsewhere as well. Okay. Thank you so much, Fergie, for taking the time out. And thank you,
thank you,
Shim.
Smita.
Thank you very much,
Thank
dear.
you, Smita.